in a quiet, forgotten town nestled between rugged hills and winding paths, lived a young man named Leo. He was 20 years old, yet his eyes carried a depth far beyond his years. His life was far from easy. Born into a struggling family, Leo knew what it meant to live with empty pockets but a heart full of dreams. His father, Mark, spent long hours repairing broken machines at a dusty garage, while his mother, Claire, scrubbed floors and washed laundry in wealthy homes just to keep food on the table. Leo's little sister, Sophie, just 10 years old, adored her brother. To her, Leo was more than a sibling. He was her role model, her guardian angel. On cold nights, when the stars scattered like diamonds across the sky, Leo often sat outside their crumbling home, staring at the heavens. His mind drifted far from the broken streets of his neighborhood. I want to build something of my own, something that gives my family a better life, he whispered to himself, voice barely louder than the wind. Yet deep inside, he questioned, how do you build a future when you don't even have enough for today? I mean, he spoke his heart to his father. Mark looked at him with tired eyes and said something that stuck in Leo's soul. Dreams aren't free, son. You have to earn them. Every step, every tear, every sleepless night. That's the price of dreams. Start with whatever you have, even if it's nothing. That night changed everything. Leo began looking around with new eyes. He noticed something. People in their town loved fresh bread, but there was no bakery nearby. Every family had to walk miles to buy it. An idea began to bloom in his mind. He could sell bread in his own town. But there was a major obstacle. He had no money to buy the bread. With courage swelling in his chest, Leo walked miles to the nearest bakery, owned by a stern old man named Mr. Anderson. Leo stood before him, dusty and tired, and made his pitch. Sir, I want to sell your bread in my town. I have no money to buy it, sir. I die up, but give me a week. I'll sell the bread, return your money, and keep a small profit. Just give me a chance. Mr. Anderson narrowed his eyes. And why would I trust you, boy? Leo replied, his voice unwavering. Because I'll prove myself. I may not have money, but I have honesty and the will to work harder than anyone. After a long pause, Mr. Anderson nodded slowly. 1 week. Don't fail me. The next morning, Leo was up before the birds. He carried the bread back on foot and set up a modest wooden stand near the park. He offered warm smiles and free samples. People were cautious at first, but Leo's sincerity won them over. By sunset, every loaf was sold. That night, he returned to Mr. Anderson with the payment. The old man simply said, "Come back tomorrow." Days turned into weeks. He woke before dawn, trekked to the bakery, carried the bread back, and sold every loaf with pride. He saved every coin. In 2 months, he bought a small cart to carry more bread. One day, a regular customer asked, "Leo, why don't you bake your own bread? You'd earn more." The thought lit a fire in his heart, but he was scared. He had never baked before. Still, he knew he had to evolve. He approached Mr. Anderson again. "Sir, will you teach me to bake?" Mr. Anderson raised a brow. "If you bake, you won't need me. That's bad for my business." Leo looked at him, eyes filled with truth. "You gave me my first chance. I'll never forget that. If I succeed, I'll find ways to honor that trust." Mr. Anderson grumbled, then relented. "Baking isn't easy. It takes sweat and patience. Be ready to fail." Leo began his lessons at 3 a.m. daily. The flour stung his eyes, the dough stuck to his arms, and his first loaves were disasters. Some were burnt, others raw. One morning, after another failed batch, he sat with his head in his hands. "Maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I should quit," he muttered. But his father's voice echoed in his mind. "Dreams are not free." That moment became his turning point. He returned the next day with redoubled focus. Slowly, his loaves improved. Mr. Anderson smiled one morning and handed him a perfect golden brown loaf. "Now, that's bread." Leo was elated. He began baking from a small oven at home. His mother made tea for him late at night, while Sophie carefully wrapped the baked goods. Soon, Leo was making cookies, pastries, and even simple cakes. The town fell in love with Leo's creations. "His bread tastes like home," one old woman said. But life was not done testing him. A rival bakery opened in town, run by a slick businessman named Eric. With bright lights, colorful signs, and fancy decorations, he drew in customers fast. Leo's sales began to drop. Fear crept into his heart. What if I lose everything I built? But instead of surrendering, Leo listened. He asked customers, "What can I do better?" "Eric's place looks cleaner. His cakes look beautiful." Leo didn't sulk. He adapted. He used his savings to paint his cart, added simple yet vibrant decorations, and started offering taste samples. He went to the local library and taught himself cake decorating by watching videos. Slowly, customers returned. One evening, an old woman said, "I've seen boys quit when things got hard, but not you, Leo. That's why we believe in you." With rising profits, Leo rented a small shop and called it Leo's Fresh Bakes. Every morning, he baked with love. His family worked beside him. His father cleaned, his mother handled the accounts, and Sophie charmed customers with her smiles. Then came a cruel twist of fate. One stormy night, while closing the shop, Leo smelled smoke. A fire had started near the oven. He rushed inside and put out the flames, but much of the equipment was destroyed. The next morning, the townspeople gathered. "What now?" some whispered. Others assumed it was the end. But Leo stood tall. "This is not the end. I've faced worse. I'll rise again." He went back to Mr. Anderson, now retired. "What would you do if you were me?" The old man smiled. "You already know what to do. Work harder, believe harder, and never forget, nothing is free." Leo began baking at home again with what little equipment he had. He told his customers, "I'm still here. I'll keep baking. Even if it's small, I won't quit." People were moved. They offered help, some gave ingredients, others donated money, and many simply came to support. Together, they rebuilt his bakery. It wasn't just a shop. Now it was a symbol of hope, of resilience, of a dream that refused to die. At the grand reopening, the mayor said, "Leo, you've inspired this town. You remind us that true success is earned, not given. Leo stood before them and spoke with tears in his eyes. Nothing in life is free. Not respect, not success, not dreams. Everything has a price. But if you're willing to work, to fall and rise again, you'll find that the reward is not just money, it's meaning, it's pride, it's love. Leo's fresh bakes became known far and wide. People came from neighboring towns, not just for the bread, but to meet the boy who started with nothing and gave everything. His story teaches us, dreams demand sacrifice. Failure is just a lesson in disguise. Help yourself and the world will help you. And most importantly, never give up. Because truly nothing is free, but everything is possible.